Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk to you about children's practice habits and stuff like that. Um, a while back I wrote an article on my website about children's practice habits. Okay, I don't know how many people read this or not, whatever. I know people tend not to read things nowadays. They just want a video and just listen to somebody tell them things rather than read the information, which that's just the world we're living today. But so anyway, the thing is this: what a lot of parents run into is that they give their children guitar lessons or some kind of music lesson, and their child doesn't practice. And everybody knows that practice is what makes you better, right? And they say, well, the kid's not really practicing, so we're not going to continue the lessons. The kid enjoys doing the lessons, the kid is learning in the lessons, but then they're not practicing. So the parents decide to stop doing the lessons, right? This is actually the wrong thing to do, believe it or not. See, you have to understand the mindset of the child first. The child's mindset is when they get a lesson, they've learned something. So from learning, they haven't realized that practicing is a part of it. They think that they're learning guitar from the lesson alone, right? Now you can talk to them until you're blue in the face about practicing. It's not going to really be real to them until they start actually practicing and seeing how the practicing is going to make results. So what a good guitar teacher does is he makes them practice during the lesson. So, and that's what I do with my students is I give them practice habits during the lesson. But now here's this. Okay, so I know as a parent, you might be saying, well, I don't know what to do with them. I don't know any of this stuff. Exactly. So what you want to do first is just ask them, what did you learn in your guitar class today or yesterday, whatever? And then they tell you, oh, I learned this. Can you show me? All right, I'll show you. Right? And then they'll go and show you. You say, oh, nice. Do that again. Show me again. And they, after maybe a few times of this, they kind of get, I don't want to do it anymore. And that's fine. That's okay. You don't want to force them to do something against their will because then this thing that they are enjoying becomes something they don't enjoy anymore. It's all about self-determination, right? If they're self-determined about doing it, they're going to do it. And I'll tell you something, from teaching people for over 20 years, I've seen people take guitar lessons for 3 weeks and then become super serious, and they're amazing guitar players within months. And I've seen people kind of being a little wishy-washy about it for up to even 2 years before they really become serious about it. And then once they become serious about it, then boom, it's like the fire has been started, and everything's just catching ablaze with this person. But before that, it just took a long time of grinding with the person, and it was because they wanted to do it, but there wasn't something igniting them, right? And you could say that maybe it was this teacher, and you could have something there, or you could say that it was maybe they just didn't find what their real goal was in doing music yet, and that's probably really the thing. But part of what I'm saying is that don't get upset with a child if they don't practice their instrument throughout the week. You have to understand that they do think that they've already learned. They don't understand that the practice is what's developing the skills. They think it's just the lesson itself, right? So, and I know people say, well, the lessons are being wasted. You can't get better without practice, right? It's a waste of money for them to not practice. So it's actually, so first of all, let's say the lessons are being wasted. First of all, that's not even correct. Okay, because even with a child who practices or doesn't practice, right, a child learns through repetition. You can say, well, yeah, that's why the practice. And I'm saying, of course. But you have to also remember that a child is going to forget things. I can teach them something today, and tomorrow they'll forget it, even if they practice it 3 times today. So they have to get those lessons to reaffirm what they've learned, right? It's all about the repetition of the lessons. A lot of kids don't realize that they're getting the same lesson week by week sometimes. They don't, because to them it sounds like new information. So, not saying that they're not getting a lesson, they are. They're always getting something new, but there's always some kind of repetitious lesson being taught there, especially with young children. Okay, so the more a principle has gone over, the better the chances the child will know it for a lifetime. Right? Yeah, practice is important, but emphasis is really on learning and willingness to learn. All right, willingness to learn. Okay, taking it away or forcing it could totally squash the child. Now, the next thing is like I hear people say, well, you can't get better without practicing. And that's totally true. The skills will not improve. But as knowledge increases, so does the child's desire to play. Right? So as their knowledge about the instrument increases, right, their responsibility for the instrument is going to increase as well. Okay, and their ability to control the instrument will, of course, go as well, because if they're more knowledgeable about it, they have more responsibility towards it. They're going to be able to control it more, which means they will start practicing. So it comes about from knowledge. Just increasing the knowledge is going to start increasing the control, the responsibility to take care of that instrument, to practice it. Okay, so now it's going to be different for everybody, really. Like some people, you give them one piece of information, and it just sets them off. They go, oh, whoa, and then all of a sudden they're just totally into it. And some people, it takes an abundance of knowledge before they get to that same point. Every single person is different. Every single person reacts to things differently. Okay, so everyone's going to have a different point that sets them off onto that real burning desire. Okay, now skills are the result of knowledge and practice. But by stopping a child from learning, you're going to stop them from gaining skills. You can never predict when a child will find that one datum that's going to drive them to play more. Okay, so my interest with the student is totally in what their interest is in music. So that's what my focus is on as a student. Like I look at a student and go, what are they interested in? What are they into? Right? I'd rather do that with them than try to do something that I would think is going to work, like a standard song every child has to learn. So it's not always, I would say a lot of kids do end up learning the same thing in the beginning, the same kind of songs, depending on their age. But I never hold it as like a standard, like this is the song, we always do that one, we always do this. It's not always like that. It depends on the person. Everyone's different. Now they say another complaint would be it's a waste of money for them to not practice. That's a great point. It costs tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars to send someone to college. Now, the horrible truth about college is that many college graduates never use the education that they went to college for. Okay, so with learning music, they'll have knowledge that they can use for a lifetime. It's a little different. Like you go to college and you study something, you study something and then you get out of college and you never take up, either nobody wants that degree that you have, there's no use for it, or it has become outmoded. So that can happen as well. There's a guy I know who he went to school to use, he learned the slide rule. Okay, this just tells you how old this guy is. When he got out of college, he invented the calculator. Kind of made his entire college education void, right? It was like, well, okay, that was 4 years well spent. But, obviously the guy did learn a lot, from college, and he ended up going into the computer field. That was something that kind of went, he's like, it hit him. He goes, oh, man, I learned this thing, and then a computer trumped my entire college education, this one little device. Why don't I just get into computers? So he took that, in a good way, really. But now the next thing is that, right, you have to understand that the kid may be getting lessons now, and they might not be doing anything with it now, but they are learning something. And they may one day pick it up again, and all of those lessons from all those years ago, they're still sitting in there. They're still in the mind. They may be rusty, they may be hidden under some things, right? But it can come back out. There were people that I taught who had taken lessons when they were a kid, and they go, I don't remember that much. And as soon as I start giving them some information, all of a sudden the information starts pouring out of their minds. They go, oh yeah, and that's this, and that means I could do this, and I can do that. And the data is in there. It just needs to be stirred up a little bit. So learning music is something that will truly last a lifetime, whether they use it or not. It's actually kind of interesting, because what can also happen is that they could have a kid when they're an adult. They have a child who is very interested in music, and they go, "Oh yeah, I remember a little bit of that," and boom, all of a sudden there's some family bonding going on. So you never know what's going to happen with this, right? Um, there's a couple important things to remember though, like as a parent with a child who doesn't practice or doesn't practice enough, right? First, it is hard to play in the beginning, because, especially with guitar, because there isn't much known about the instrument, and there isn't really much to do with it yet. And with the guitar, the fingers, they hurt. It gets uncomfortable to play. That does go away. It's not like a lifetime of finger pain. I would say, if a diligent student practicing on a daily basis, within 2 weeks probably won't have that kind of those issues, because they'll develop calluses by then. Um, so they don't really need to be spending hours daily playing in the beginning in order to make progress. I would say for a very young kid, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long you can keep their attention on it, that's great. Don't expect them to sit there for an hour. They won't. Half hour, maybe not even that. I would say even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because remember, they can't do a lot yet. There's not a lot are able to do. So it makes it very hard for them to spend a lot of time practicing. Okay, now another thing is that practice should be treated more as an option, right? Instead of treated as a chore. The second you treat something like this as a chore, you have lost them. They're not going to be interested anymore, and it's not good, because you want children to be able to express themselves, okay, through any kind of creative outlet. Music is a great one. It's great because it's something that can communicate to anyone in the world at any moment in time. You don't have to speak the language, but if I played something for you, that you could relate to, a sound, you go, "Oh yeah, I know exactly how you feel," right? Now, not saying that all music is going to, everyone's going to love the music that you play, but you can reach out to virtually anyone in the world with a song, and it can touch them one way or another. All right. So remember that you do want to treat, practice more as an option rather than as a chore. Like, you have to do this now. Don't do that. Give them an option. Oh, you want to go ride your skateboard, or you want to play guitar for a little bit? And they'll think about, maybe I'll play guitar. Okay, great. Or maybe they go play skateboard. Fine, whatever. Remember, these are hobbies for them right now, okay? So that you want them to be able to do it and have fun doing it, okay? So a child, and another thing is that a child will develop a willingness to practice over time. It's almost never instant. Kids usually pick up something. I give them a lesson. They go, okay. And then they're done, because they learned the lesson. They're just waiting for next week to do the next lesson to learn the next thing. I see this with children, and as a teacher, I know what needs to be done. And I'll treat a portion of the lesson as, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to practice this. And then I'll say, remember what we did today? Right at the end. Remember when we were doing this thing? They're like, yeah. I'm like, so why don't you do that when I'm not here? Do that on your own, all right? And it'll get easier and easier, and it'll be more fun to do. And they're like, okay. So they like to practice after they've seen what practice is kind of like, and they get the idea, right? They'll practice more. And so that's a little tip for all the other teachers out there who might be struggling with their students not practicing. But just remember, money is never wasted on music education. Okay, like I said before, you never know what the future holds, right? Learning music is something that makes a lot of other subjects easier to learn. It does boost self-confidence. So even if they never do anything with music, and the only thing it does is make them just feel confident, like, wow, I could learn how to do something. Well, if I can learn how to play guitar, I'm sure I could learn how to do something else. I could learn how to, I don't know, make graphic design on computers. Who knows? But just the fact that doing something, letting them develop a skill, it does give someone security in their own abilities. That is confidence. And that, for your child, I'm sure it's worth more than anything else. I'm sure just to have your child be confident in their own abilities and belief in their own abilities, that's more valuable than anything you could buy them, right? So just keep those things in mind. Okay, these things are, just to get the kid. You do want them to practice. I'm not saying don't let them, but don't force it on them either. It'll come around. It takes some time, and you know what? Maybe 4 months goes by and they say they don't want to do it anymore. Okay, they just don't want to do it anymore. Well, now you know why they weren't practicing. So it could be maybe they had an idea, they decided it wasn't for them. Maybe they wanted to learn a different instrument. Maybe they wanted to, maybe they were thinking about music, but they kind of wanted to do something else, and music was just kind of like a middle idea in between something. So it's hard to say what it could be, but most of the time what I've found is that students are willing to practice once they obtain some piece of knowledge that really communicates to them. Once they get that one little thing, it's always been as whenever I seen like a student that won't start practicing, it's always been one thing they learned that made them go, whoa, and then they go. And it's always been like that. It's very interesting how that one little piece of knowledge will totally change their attitude about practicing. And you never know when that piece of knowledge is going to hit them, because you don't know which it is. It's different for everybody. Like one time I showed a kid a chord. I explained what a chord was, showed him one. Couldn't get enough. That was it. That was the end for him. Another guy, it was one I showed him how chords actually come from scales. And he was so blown away by that he was like, you have to show me every scale there is. So, well, okay, that's not going to happen in one day. He goes, no, because if I learn as many scales as I can make up any chords I want, right? I'm like, yeah, of course you can. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do. And he was totally set on fire. And the kid, he just started learning all kinds of scales and modes, and it was really cool to watch him put together all these very interesting chords. I actually didn't even teach him half of those chords. He figured them out from learning the scales. So it was pretty interesting how, I guess it was kind of like the Lego mentality. Here are the Lego pieces, and he built the castle, the Lego castle. That's kind of like what happened there. It was really cool. So just if you're feeling like your kid's not practicing, don't worry. They'll come around, all right? Don't grind them on it either. Give it to them as an option, and there's always the, show me what you did today trick, show me what you did. Show me again. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm sorry, I thought you started playing. I was thinking about something. Play it again for me, please. Or, could you do something like that? Could you change it? Do something different with it? So they can always, you can always try to get them to look at other ways they can play that thing or something. But, it should not be forced. It should always be self-determined to practice. And, just let me know if that helps. By the way, the article that I wrote, I put in the description in this video. So you can check that out. You can read the article. And let me know what you guys think. If this helped, then let me know if this helps. And thanks for watching.